So if the T12 goes through May, but the property is brought to you in August, what should you request? This happens a lot, right? Because people will just put their finances together or financials together and then ultimately not get the property out to market, or maybe the broker will hold it in his pocket and kind of put it out there and not really basically solicit the property. But once he does, or she does, the financials are so old that you're going to want to see if you get updated financials. Because like many times, people go to sell and maybe they move their mind on buying, whatever's the next property, and the property really goes down. And you want to be careful because you don't want to catch a falling ship here.
And just one point on that too, because I was noticing over the last 12 months, they tried a rent bump and they implemented RUBS. They might have done that for no reason whatsoever, so the market might not be commanding that. So you see the vacancy spike up. So that June, July, and August time frame, that could be a crucial time frame to be able to kind of see if that RUBS, if that rent raise strategy is actually working.
Yeah, it's super good, right? Because some tenants, you have properties where people just like one number. Like they'll pay the water bill if you just tell them, hey, the water bill is included with the rent, it's $500. But if you tell them, the rent's $450, but the water bill is $50, they just can't do it. They just for some reason just can't figure it out. Just having two different numbers. So you want to look at how the tenant base works there and how it actually comes together. All right, where are we? After further review, the rent roll amounts to $5,000 less than the amount for May that is listed in the T12. A good thing to get is you want to get the rent roll along with your T12, so you really just data tracking. Okay, yeah, they say they got, they collected, $80,000 in May, but the rent roll is only accounting for $65,000. Where's the discrepancy here? We've seen that a lot. We've actually gone back and we use the rent roll numbers just to put it in there because we want the true rent roll of actually what's happened in the property. How does this affect the value of the property based on the 7 cap? It's basically just that. We're taking that $5,000 delta right there and dividing it by 7%. And that gives us our $71,000 less than the value, whether it's whatever income level we're off there. Make sense? All right, so the whisper price is $9 million. You've already seen that we can offer $5 million, $7 million, $6 million. I talked to a couple people out there. Should we make an offer? You can make a good representation on both sides, right? If the property was just listed at $9 million, it might be a little too early to make that offer because maybe they're just putting it out there and they don't want to look bad. They don't want to make the broker look bad coming in with a $5 million purchase price. But if they put it out there for $9 million and it was 9 months ago, and we were talking to some people, some people were realtors in here. You've worked with clients before who the house is worth $400,000 and they want to sell for $500,000. No other point, but their grandma changed the carpet, so it should be worth $500,000. So they put it out there and they're just dying for someone to come in and make an offer to just say, oh yeah, it's really worth $400,000 like all the comps said. But people stay away because they say, oh, they want $500,000, they might be crazy. Well, the agent or the broker might just be looking for that person to come in and just get their clients back to reality. And that happens a lot. The first property we brought for $1 million less, we had the first offer, they countered back at their asking price, $1 million more than our offer. And it took us 8 months just for them to sit there, not getting offers across because people were like, oh man, they want, $3 million, $3.2 million, it's not worth that. And we went back and we raised our offer by $50,000. They dropped their purchase price by $600,000 because at that point they were motivated. So if this is $9 million and we're, 8 months out on the property and they don't have much offers, the broker might love to have someone come in there and say, hey, we'll offer $6 million for the property because it's maybe the first offer they've gotten. But again, you're going to tell the story. Like, hey, listen, guys, the last 3 months here on collections looks like we're going down. I see that your utilities are super high. The management, I don't see management in here, and I'm going to have to manage this property, bring on a third party. So we'll basically go there, give the story to the broker, and let the broker kind of guide us whether or not they think it's the right time to make an offer. So we're not putting them in a position, and we're really cultivating a relationship. We're not putting them in a position where we're saying, hey, here's our $5 million offer, and they got to go back and with egg in their face to the seller. They can say, okay, yeah, I'd be happy to present your offer. And generally, it's like 50-50. 50% of the time, they'll say, yeah, it's great. 50% of the time, they'll say, no, we're just putting this out there. Or we have a lot of offers out there already, right? I think, where were you? 18 offers on your property today? Something like that? Yeah, so $1 million over where we were. And that's just, so at that point, not worth it because you already have so much more interest on the property because, people can get cheaper money, who knows? Last one, the Fed cut interest rate, you can now get a 3.5% loan. How does this change your net operating income? It doesn't, trick question. So the way we use cap rates is because we don't want to take into effect all the different loan options that people can get, because that's, of course, going to change your returns. Everybody's going to use, maybe, Frank puts down 25%, I put down 30%, Michael puts down 10%, Kevin puts down 15%, and they're all using different products. I'm going to use the 7-year term, Michael's amortizing for 25 years. Well, that's going to change your returns across the property. So for us, we're just basically evaluating based on the cap rate. And then we're going to look, we're going to talk to people like David, we're going to see what kind of loan options are out there so we can find what's going to be the best deal so we can meet our returns for our investors. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Questions we got here? This is more of a, I think we're doing money raising panel next? Yeah. Money raising panel next month. So we're going to talk about here, we got to raise $6 or $7 million. We got to raise $2 or $3 million for this property here. So if you want to figure out how to do that, we're going to have a panel up here next month talking about basically raising money. And that's going to be an important part of your component because there are a lot of people that do very well on helping bring capital to other projects, because generally part of syndicating, part of growing your portfolio is that you're ultimately going to need to keep the balance sheet, not keep all the money in your pocket, but you're also going to want to be able to show that you have that balance sheet for the lender. So being able to have other people and knowing how to raise money properly, bring the best value to people, it's going to be a great conversation for next month. Questions?
You have a date yet?
We do. 20.
It's not, again, like this one was pushed for the 3rd Tuesday, August is pushed for the 3rd Tuesday as well.
And September.
In September? And
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, that is right. So yeah, it's the 17th of September, the 20th of August.
It's on the last side.
Yeah, but again, and so thank God for Arun coming in here with a big deal tonight, because we need some good energy right there. So, but on that point, come here with some wins, guys. There's a lot of stuff can happen. There's a lot of activity going out there. Doesn't have to be huge. Making offers. So Gonzalo and Mark, they were in Allentown going to see some properties, right? So where are you guys? So they're out there. But ideally, for the point, small wins is how you build it up. Just taking little action steps. You don't just go, oh, I showed up at a meetup and then, next day I have a 100-unit apartment building. Little steps along the way.
Quick question. In terms of, right now there's a lot of markets that are hot. There's a lot of competition. And for someone who might not already own 1,000 units, when you're speaking to these commercial brokers and you're requesting offering memorandums, a lot of times they're like, you don't own 1,000 units yet, don't waste my time. What suggestion do you have when you're speaking to these brokers and trying to build a relationship to get these offering memorandums?
So speak their language, making sure you're being very direct. For that point, like if you're saying I want to buy a 25 unit, but let me look at the 1,000 unit, well, they're kind of like, well, what are we doing here, guy? And so at that point is actually the guy who shows the mapping, he's got a really good email. He goes out there and says, hey, Mr. Broker, I work with a group of investors in another market. We're looking to come into this market here. In this market, we're looking for 100 to 200 units, 1970 to 2005. 1970 to 2005 BC assets between 5 and 15 million. Done. In time. When's a good time to talk? Because now you know exactly what I want, right? Now if they have something to point, it's not me asking for random properties, they don't know who I am. I've already set myself up. I know exactly what I want. I'm not going to waste their time, because when they go and send me new construction 8 units, I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. Again, I want BC assets, 100 to 200 units, built 1970 to 2005, 5 to 15 million. That's your story right there. Just keep pivoting yourself right in there. Right. And if you're really clear with them, then you're not going to have that whole back and forth, because, I don't know, like, no one really, you get down the road and you're going to have talks about more experience, but if you can talk and be direct with them and have your elevator pitch, then you're not going to have so much of that. You don't own 1,000 units, because, there's a lot of people who are saying they own 1,000 units right now, and they have, 1% of 1,000 units. So use your network, so using a meetup. I'm here in a meetup with, a couple thousand units in it, looking to move into this market. Here's the areas I want to be, here's what I want. And then follow up every couple of weeks. Because you're not, day one, they're not going to say, oh yeah, I got the perfect property for you. Maybe they will, but it's going to be garner that relationship, because there's a lot of brokers who will go out there and tell you that, they'll send out an email on a property, and they'll get 20% response rate on it. Well, what if you're just like the guy who's like, hey, thanks for sending it. Doesn't work for me, because again, I want 100 to 200 units, 5 to 15 million, yada, 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 yada. But thanks for sending it. It doesn't work also because it doesn't meet these return metrics for me. Okay, cool. And you just keep doing that, and ultimately he's going to say, well, hey, you've been reaching out for me. I have this property. It's 120 units, built in 1980, in your area, $8 million. You want to take a look? That's it. So, the brokers all started somewhere too.
Yeah.
They all started as wherever they were. So you just got to talk their talk and be respectful of their time.
At this point, it's a numbers game, basically.
Yeah. And I think we haven't talked today. Someone's saying, I do all the work. How long is it going to take to get a property? And it could take 2 months if you do it. It could take a year and a half. It's that point of, but if you do it, you'll get a property. But it's just when's that right property going to come? I don't know. You just got to keep putting the one foot in front of the other kind of mentality.
Right.
Cool. All right. Any good markets? Who's liking something out there? You got a quiet. Yeah. What do you got?
I was looking at some that are down by the water, but that's the one question when it comes to water and flood zones, because they're by the water.
Yeah.
What do you do with those?
It's, again, your tolerance for returns, It's like people buying in Manhattan,
Yeah.
people buying all over the areas. I mean, you're in, whereas the areas that just flooded down in North Carolina and that wasn't even in flood zones, or even like Texas, so you could be buying flood zones or not buying flood zones and still get flooded around flood zones. So it's going to go down to your risk tolerance, and if you have the right insurances and you're willing to take that risk level, and then risk and return, you're going to get a lot more. The seaboards get a lot more return on the properties.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good answer because it's not really a straight answer to say. It's kind of like what your preference is. Yeah, we don't buy where we are. We don't do flood zones like in the middle of America because it's just like I don't really need to.
Yeah.
And just another risk. When we were looking in Tulsa, I felt like there were just like flood zones on a bunch of properties, and it was like, well, it was kind of like knocking the price. It's another thing, right? If you have if flood insurance on a house, maybe it's like $2,000. We have flood insurance on a 50-unit apartment building. It's like $20,000.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing that and is it going to go up? I don't know. So it's like another one of those things. I don't know what's going to happen with it. So are you willing to take that risk? Maybe you'll get a super deal, and maybe you can do some things to improve it. But we're not.
Yeah.
But maybe it works for you. All right. Who else? Anybody else? Yeah.
I have a question. So about number 9 here. How do you make sure that the broker is telling your story behind the offer to the seller? Like, how do you make sure that?
The broker wants to make money too. He wants you to close a deal. So if you have a story that's validated, it's because that's the point, right? And it's a hard thing because you want the broker to be you have to get the broker to get story. So that's why you want to go in there and just say $4 million, and the guy's gonna be like, oh, all right, I have $4 million. But if you go in there and give them the reasons, they need to make the money, right? So they want to sell the property. So if you have a good, valid offer, they're going to want to present your story.
I mean, you're building your team out, you're interviewing the broker, so you hopefully already know him or her also. So they'll be wanting to get paid and wanting to represent your story.
And that's also part of the reason why we ask them, at this point, hey, we're willing to write up this offer based on these variables. Does this make sense for you? Because, if it does, then they're going to be more willing to tell your story. If you just said, I kind of just put this offer out, I don't want to, or just this property out, maybe it's too early. Well, then, if you're forcing an offer, they're probably not going to be so bullish on it to get in front of them. Cool. Yeah.
The valuation of properties, cap rates, the offer memorandum's got a cap rate. How do you tell, hey, in a given market, what's a reasonable cap rate, or, how do you know that what they're using is, fair or whatever? What can you do to assess that?
The cap rate's just on a stabilized property, so that's where you have to be careful, right? There was, I forget his name here, but he's got properties in downtown Westville, brought it with literally no tenants, right? So it's 0 cap. But it's a crushing deal. But if you're just like, I can't buy a 0 cap, well, then you never have a deal, right? But he's got a crushing deal because he got a great deal on a building that had no tenants. So if you look at it, it's based on a stable property. So it depends where you can get with the property right here. Because you may be buying it as is at a 4 cap, but it's not stabilized, so you're almost throwing out the window. So you want to assess really, it's going to go down, and you can look at cap rate. You want to look at your overall returns. What are return metrics you're looking to hit? Are you looking to hit, a certain cash on cash return, like generally, 9 to 10% cash on cash return per year, and I'm talking, not including the sales price. Including the sales price, we'd like to get 16 to 20% average annual return. And maybe that accounts for an IRR of 14 or 15. Are we hitting those metrics? Because then, it's hard to look at a property if it's in distress from a cap rate perspective, because it's not supposed to be used that way. Make
And
sense?
also, you gotta remember, the cap rate's a subjective observation. The cap rate for a buyer is different from a seller, is different from a broker, is different from an
That's kind
appraiser.
of why I'm asking, like, it's
Yeah.
subjective, right? And that's where, is there a way to somehow gauge that? I'll be in the same universe here when we're talking, what they're putting on the table.
Well, you gotta look at how you're looking at returns. And for me, it's more important about the returns we're trying to hit. We're trying to hit certain returns for our investors, wherever that breaks out to. Different people will be more comfortable with, you may have a super good deal, no risk, and maybe you're getting 10% cash and cash, or 10% IRR, and maybe people are psyched about that, because literally there's no risk. They just put their money in there and rock. But some people might not get out of bed with, less than 16. So now you're gonna have different